Oh, good. There we are. Do you have me?
Preview.
We're checking connection. Thank you for your patience. Before I launch into this,
You are good to go.
we are good to go. Excellent. Hi, I am Mel Robbins, and I want to welcome you to day 4 of Mindset Reset. It is a 35-day free program that we are running this entire month, all month long. And the intent of the program is to teach you how to reset your mindset and to give you the small steps that you can take every single day that are backed by research and backed by science to take control of your mind, to get rid of limiting beliefs, to reset what you think about, because when you change how you think, you will change your life. And it is not too late to join the party. So if you're stumbling onto this video and this is the first time you've ever watched me live, or you're watching this years from now, the fact of the matter is I am so glad that you're here. You are now part of a community of more than 200,000 people strong around the world who are doing a mindset reset right now. And the way that you can join in is just go to melrobbins.com/mindset reset. We will email you a link to a PDF that you can download that's a guide to the program, and you can follow along at your own pace. All of the videos are on YouTube. Everything is free. There is nothing that we are selling you at the end of this. We're not trying to jam anything down your throat. We're just trying to get you to embrace the power of choosing what you think about. We are trying to teach you how to become a more deliberate thinker, and that's exactly what today's lesson is about. Today's lesson is very short, and it is entitled, Think This, Not That. Yesterday and the past couple days, we have been building on the topic of how you become a deliberate thinker. You have already learned that there are 2 modes in your brain. There's autopilot and the things that you default to, and then there is your ability to deliberately choose what you are going to think about. And when you start to realize and embrace the fact that being a deliberate thinker is a skill, and it is one that I want you to master, and it's one that I want you to practice. Because doing a mindset reset, it's not an event. It's a process, and it's a process that you're going to do over and over and over again, because the negative and limiting beliefs that you have that are already set to your default, those are encoded in the default network in your brain. And so it's going to be a process that you need to repeat. The second you catch yourself thinking something that is negative or is a limiting belief or is something that was stuck in your mind from somebody in your past, the second you catch yourself defaulting to that, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're going to switch gears and you are going to think about something deliberate. And so yesterday, your assignment was to notice all day long when your mind was drifting to those default negative thoughts. And what I wanted you to do is I wanted you to write down what are the default negative thoughts that you had throughout your day. And many of you were startled to discover just how often you're thinking really nasty things about yourself. You were bummed and a little bit sad to realize, holy cow, I can't believe how often I tell myself I'm not good enough. I can't believe how often I tell myself that my ideas aren't good and I shut myself up. And there were just as many of you that were liberated when you started to realize, wait a minute. This isn't the voice of God talking to me. This is some programming that's set on default. I don't have to live my life and I don't have to have a future where I constantly say things that are negative to myself. This is the most miraculous thing that I've ever heard. And so what I want you to do in the comments is I want you to write what was the limiting belief or the negative thing that kept coming up, because there were a lot of themes. Christine Nichols said that her limiting belief is that she believes she's a quitter. She believes she can't finish anything. And she started to see examples of it over and over and over again. And what she also started to realize is, holy cow, it's a lie. There's lots of things that I've finished in my life, but if I continue to have the limiting belief that I'm a quitter, if I look out to the future, I will be giving myself permission to not go for harder things. I will give myself permission to quit. A lot of the common beliefs that we heard was that I'm too old. How many of you feel like you're too old to get the things that you want in your life? That is super common. So if you think I'm too old to do this, if you think I've run out of time, if you think, who am I at the age that I am or as young as I am to think that I could do this thing, first of all, you're wrong. And secondly, that's a limiting belief that is stopping you. It's a default mode that we need to get you out of. Huge one for you all was, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough when it comes to other people. I'm not as good as other people. And let me tell you something. This is an epidemic, feeling like you're not good enough, because way too many of us spend our days comparing our imperfect lives to perfect strangers on the internet. And so the feeling like you're not good enough, you're not measuring up, that there's some sort of imaginary race that you're running against the rest of humanity, and that by now, at this point in your life, you're supposed to be at a certain place. And how do you know that? Because every time you look on social media, there are hundreds of people in your face that seem to be at the place that you thought you would be. And so that just reinforces it. And oh my God, the default network is getting stronger. If that's how you feel, you're not alone. That was the single biggest one that we noticed in all of your comments from all over the world. I am not good enough. And we heard loud and clear that you got it from your mom, or you got it from your dad, or you got it from some horrible person that you were in a relationship with. And the problem is you started to believe it, and it got encoded in the default network. So now that you've seen it, good job. You can't get rid of the default until you actually spot it. And now that you've seen it, I want you to realize for the rest of your life, you have a job. And your job is to make sure that when that default network kicks back up and you start to murmur that you're too old, you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, that is a moment where you have got to do a mindset reset. And the way that you're going to do it, because you're learning that there's two modes of your brain, the default, I'm not good enough, and the deliberate, oh yeah, I can try, is we're going to teach you that you can think this, not that. That whenever this default mode comes up of I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not enough, whatever enough is, that you can spot it as the default and you can get deliberate and you can say something different. In the body of this broadcast, on Facebook, on YouTube. Where else are we putting this?
Twitter.
On Twitter. Although it won't be on Twitter, the copy. But in the email that we're about to send you with links to this video, and on YouTube and on Facebook, we are going to give you a very long description of alternatives on how you think this, not that. And we're going to give you some things that you can play around with to insert to start to build a deliberate network. And if you don't like these, no problem. Make something up that you really like. But the point is that if you don't get deliberate, you will be stuck with the default mode of thinking. And the way that you reprogram your default mode of thinking so that the default becomes positive and the default becomes courageous and the default becomes loving is, first you catch the negative default, and second, you direct it to something deliberate. So instead of thinking, no one likes me, this is mine because I think I'm a bad person. No one likes me. What I want you to think instead is the right people love me. That's pretty powerful. That's really powerful for me. I constantly remind myself that the right people love me, that the right people are in my life. Instead of saying, oh, nobody likes me or I'm not part of that group, I remind myself that the right people, the people I need, they're the ones that are in my life right now. If you're somebody who says, I'm too old, here's what I want you to say, I have plenty of time. Or you could say, I have so much experience, I'm definitely going to succeed. If you say I'm too young, then say anything you want, from I have plenty of time to learn what I need to learn, to being young is an advantage, to whatever it is. The point that I'm trying to make is, if your default is negative, I don't want you to think that. I want you to catch it when you do, and then I want you to think this, something positive. If you're constantly thinking, I'm behind, I'm behind, I'm behind, you look at social media and you're like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I'm losing the race of life. Then I want you to think, I'm on my own timeline. I'm on my own timeline. It's not I'm behind, it's I'm doing things in my own time. Another one you could say if you say I'm behind is I'm exactly where I need to be. One of the big things that I always say is that you never move to the next level of your life until you learn the lesson in this one. Instead of thinking I'm not smart enough, I want you to think, if I put in the work, I can do anything. Instead of thinking I'm not smart enough, say, hey, if I put in the work, I can learn anything. If I put in the work, I can master anything. If I put in the work, I can build anything. It's not about smarts. It's about the effort that I put in. That's another thing that you could say. Instead of saying I'm not smart enough, go, well, hey, you dummy, it's not about being smart. It's about the work. Make this yours. If you can make it funny, fantastic, because then that cuts the seriousness that so many of us bring to trying to change our lives. This can be fun, Instead of thinking I'm not good enough, I love this one. How about I'm doing the best I can? Or I'm exactly where I need to be. I'm exactly where I need to be. I think one of the most important things that you can do in life is you can ask for what you need. You can ask it of yourself. You can ask it of your work. You can ask it of your spouse. You can ask it of your family. You can ask it of your friends. And you should. Because when you ask for what you need, you are honoring what's true for you. Now, here's the interesting thing. You might not get it. And getting what you are asking for, it's not the point. When you have the courage to stop listening to those limiting default beliefs and start asking of yourself and asking of the people around you the things that you need, what you're doing in the asking is you are honoring the best part of you. And whatever it is that you receive, trust me, you need this right now because you're learning something in it. There is no experience in your life that is wasted. And so I know that many of you, because I've been reading the comments every single day, so has every member of our team, I know that so many of you are feeling at a very low point. I know you're feeling beaten down. I want to tell you something. There is something to learn in this. And one of the places that you can start is, instead of thinking about how miserable things are, and instead of thinking about how broken you feel, I want you to think about how much you've survived. I want you to think about the fact that even though you may feel broken and you may feel scared and you may feel completely overwhelmed, that in order to get beyond this, you got to understand that the world and your future are not broken and overwhelming. In fact, they are there to help you make the changes that you need. I truly believe this. I truly believe this. And so again, today, you're going to continue what you were doing yesterday, because guess what? Now that I've opened Pandora's box and you understand there's a default mode and there's a deliberate mode to the way that you think, and now that you've spent a day looking at how your default thoughts kind of stink and they make you feel bad, and you realize, wow, I could change through deliberate thinking the way that I talk to myself, this is something you're going to practice for the rest of your life. This is not a one and done. This is not an event. This is a practice. This is a process, and this is a skill. And so here's what I want you to do today. I want you to write down what is in the comments, what is your limiting belief, and what is it that you're going to think deliberately when that limiting belief comes up. So for me, when the belief comes up, nobody likes me, that's the default mode. The deliberate thing I'm going to think is the right people love me. The other one that I have is I'm constantly worried that I'm disappointing somebody. Constantly. And so when I'm worried and I feel that spidey sense come up, that tingly thing that's in your body, like, uh-oh, am I disappointing that person? Am I disappointing that person? Instead of thinking that, I'm going to think the only person I have to worry about not disappointing is me, because I'm the only person that I'm in control of anyway. In fact, I just had a big conversation with my daughter about this, about how we get so wrapped up in our lives about making sure other people are okay. And so we aren't direct, we hide information, we worry about things. And the easiest way to live your life is to just speak plainly about what's true for you. What did I just say earlier? Ask for what you need. And that also includes telling the truth about what you're thinking, about what you're doing, about who you're spending your time with. Because the minute that you're hiding information, you're kind of managing stuff with people, you're now in the default mode, because you're managing disappointing people, you're managing whether or not people like you, you're thinking that you're not good enough, so you're lying and hiding information. That's how the default mode and all these negative thinking start to creep in and make you do things that you know you shouldn't be doing. But it starts with your thinking. If you change how you think, you will change your life. Mandy, is there anything else that I should be adding in this? In the email and in the body copy on Facebook and YouTube, we will give you examples for think this, not that, but you can create your own. You're too old, you got plenty of time. You're not good enough, you're going to try. Or, oh yeah, watch me. Or, I don't believe you. You can come up with anything as long as it empowers you and it's deliberate. And so it's important for you today to write down your limiting beliefs. And then I want you to go through the process, and you can do this in the comments. What is the thing that you're going to think deliberately today? What are you going to choose to say to yourself when your attitude starts circling the drain? And instead of flushing your thoughts down the toilet and the rest of the day with it, no, I'm not going to go down the default network. I'm going to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 make a decision. And I'm going to be deliberate about what I think about today.
The only thing I would say is we got a really great question, which is, how do you deal with it when people are part of your limiting belief? Like,
how do you deal with it when people are part of your limiting belief?
Someone is giving you the limiting belief, like I'm ugly, I'm overweight, or someone is constantly.
Well, first of all, you should not be around those people. Let's be perfectly clear. If you're around people that tell you that you're ugly, that tell you that you're stupid, that is abuse. And you need to find a way to not be around those people, okay? Second thing I do to put up the psychological force field is I assume that anybody that says something nasty to me is personally in pain. And so telling myself that people are saying that to me only because they're hurting makes me flip it, so that it's not about me being ugly. It's not about me being bossy. It's not about me being a certain way. It's about the pain that idiot, I shouldn't say idiot, but you know what I mean. It's about the pain that hurtful person is experiencing, and the fact that it's so awful for them to be in their body that they have to do everything that they can to attack other people. Because it's only in attacking other people that they don't have to stop and be with themselves. A very painful place to be. So empathy always works for me for the psychological force field. But be very clear, those people should not be in your life. And if that person is your mother or your father or a relative that you have to see, or a spouse, you got to have boundaries with it. Hey, you can feel that way, but you can't talk to me like that. You got to just, you got to start to, what did I say earlier? Ask for what you need. And boundaries are the biggest version of that. You can feel that way, you can't say that to me. And if somebody's repeatedly doing it, you got to find the courage and the support structure to leave. Tomorrow, we are going to do nothing but Q&A. We have gotten so many questions about visualization, about the negative beliefs and the resignation that you feel because they're so hardwired in your default network that you can't even imagine what it could be like to combat them. We are going, any question is up for grabs as long as it's inside the bounds of this course. Start firing away in the comments, whatever questions you may have, because tomorrow we're going to do a big training session, all Q&A, answering your questions before we move on to the next training. Now, in case anybody else tells you, I want to be sure to tell you that I love you and I believe in your ability to make your dreams true. And that's exactly why we do the work that we do. And it's exactly why I will be broadcasting live tomorrow. I'm actually going away for the weekend to celebrate my mother's 70th birthday. And so I will be in a remote location, and fingers crossed that the Wi-Fi works. But start submitting your questions. And I just want to thank you for the bottom of my heart for trusting us with your mindset. Because when you start getting deliberate about this, your entire life is going to change. And I'm already blown away by what's happening in your life and by the stories that you're telling us and the success that you're having. So I will see you tomorrow.